So without further ado, it is a pleasure for me to welcome you to PIDC. We have been hosting these webinars each Wednesday to make sure that all business owners, to the extent that we can reach you, that you understand the details of this grant program that is offered by the state. So I am thrilled to have my colleagues here today, Arthur Jimenez, who is going to lead today. He is being assisted today by Kirsty Azakar. Also, if you have within your network businesses who are bilingual with Spanish, then immediately following this webinar at 11 o'clock, immediately following this webinar, we will host a fully Spanish-speaking webinar about this same topic. And so we will simply transition from fully English here at 10 till 11, and then from 11 to 12, we will transition into fully Spanish, and that will be led by my colleague, Kirsty Azakar, with Arthur assisting. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Arthur and Kirsty.
Thanks, Marla. Good morning. I will share my screen for a second. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Arthur Jimenez. I'm Director of Business Development here at PIDC. I'm joined by my colleague, Kirsty Azokar, and we're going to go through the eligibility and application process for Chirp. And while I'm presenting, we do have a Q&A window available on Zoom, so you can ask your questions there. Kirsty will be assisting me with answering questions there. Okay, so let's go over a quick background of Chirp. So Chirp stands for the COVID-19 Hospitality Industry Recovery Program. We call it Chirp here in PIDC and also in the Commonwealth. It's a total of $145 million grant program for eligible businesses within the hospitality industry to alleviate documented revenue losses and pay eligible operating expenses due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Grants are available in each Pennsylvania county, with Philadelphia expected to receive about $17 million program. So PIDC is specifically administering the program for Philadelphia. So if you, so you should be only on this webinar for your Philadelphia-based business. If you have a location that's in another county, you can go to the county's website and they should direct you to the Chirp program in their county. Grants will be available up to from $5,000 up to $50,000, and the online application has been open for a while, about 2 weeks now. It's open 11 a.m. on March 15th, and it's I'm sorry, it will be closing on April 12th. I have to update my slides at 11:59 p.m. We just announced there's an extension. Can people hear me? I think the video's frozen. My video froze.
Yeah, we can hear you well.
Okay. Great. So I'm assuming it's only my video. Let's keep going. For eligible businesses, again, you have to be physically for the PIDC administered program. You have to be physically located in Philadelphia County in operations as of February 15th, 2020, and you intend to continue operating within 1 year of the data application. You should have a NACI code. That's a North American Industry Classification Subsector code of either 721, which is the accommodation subsector, or the 722, that's the food services and drinking places subsector. So this should be on your tax returns on the typically the 1120 or the 1065S. We'll show it to you later. If it is inaccurate, if it's because this is only really the first time we're using it now for grant purposes, you can show supporting documents to show that you actually are, you truly are in the accommodations and food services and subsector. Next is that you have to document you have 25% reduction in gross receipts between 2019 2020. You do this by uploading a quarterly financial statement. You should be a for-profit business, not publicly traded. You should have, your business should have fewer than 300 full-time equivalent employees as of February 15th. And your maximum tangible net worth, not more than $50 million as of February 15th. Next is your business should be in compliance with all local, state, and federal taxes. That includes being on an approved payment plan, or you're in the process to get on a payment plan. Next is having all the required federal, state, and local licenses and permits to legally operate and be in good standing in the city of Philadelphia. And then lastly, you can only apply for one Chirp grant per Philadelphia County business location. And that's per unique EIN. So it can only be one grant per EIN and per one business entity. Okay, go next slide. So that's the eligibility programs. So as long as you meet those criteria, you are eligible. However, we are also prioritizing some specific criteria in the program. This is again just we're prioritizing these applications. This is not eligibility. Eligibility was the previous slide. So we are prioritizing for number one, demonstrating 50% or greater reduction in revenue. Number two is that you have not received a COVID-19 relief loan or grant from the city of Philadelphia, from the Commonwealth, or from the federal government. Number three, we are prioritizing the applications from businesses that were subject also to the mandated closure by the Commonwealth's proclamation of disaster emergency in March 2020. Next, your business is owned by historically disadvantaged people. That includes Black, Hispanic, Native American, Asian American, and Pacific Islander groups of people. And your business is located in a high area of poverty. Next is your business is also owned by women, immigrant, and disabled or veterans. Your business earns less than $3 million in annual revenues. And excuse me. And lastly, you provide jobs in the city of Philadelphia. Okay. Again, that's priorities. As long as you're on the other slide, if you're eligible, if you meet the eligibility requirements, you can still apply, but we are prioritizing some characteristics in the application. Okay, what do you need to apply? So the application will ask you for this information. It'll ask you for the type and structure of your business, so you should be familiar with that. That should be on your tax returns. You should know what your EIN number is, or your social security number, or your ITIN number. You should know what your NACI code is. You should have, you know what your annual and quarterly gross receipts are for 2019 and 2020. You should, the number of full-time employees and part-time employees, you should know what that is pre-COVID and currently. Next is the documents you need to upload is your 2019 tax returns of operations 2019, 2019 profit and loss statements on a quarterly basis. That should be sufficient. Just mute my phone, excuse me. So 2019 profit and loss statements on a quarterly basis, you should be able to upload that. You should also have the 2020 profit and loss statement on a quarterly basis and a signed W-9 form, which is the October 2018 version. So this should be signed, dated, and completed. This link is available. You can download this through the link that is posted on the application. Okay. So that is the, again, we covered that the application has been open for about 2 weeks now. It closes on April 12th. Excuse me, I have to update my slides. And the website to do that is pidcphila.com/chirp, CHIRP. And all applications will be reviewed after April 12th, the new deadline. And the program is not first come, first serve. So while we're reviewing applications right now, they're not being scored until after April 12th. Okay, if you do need additional assistance, you can reach out to our community partners. They are, the link is available on our website on the pidcphila.com/chirp. there is a link for community partners there. They can assist with language translation services, technology support, and also help you with uploading documents. Okay, and let's cover a couple issues that we've seen in the past. And I'll ask Kirsty to add any more that she's seen lately. For number one, like I said, the W-9 needs to be the October 2019 version. It needs to be signed. It needs to be dated. Some folks aren't doing all those, aren't uploading the right version, or aren't signing and dating it properly. Number two, a common issue is the W-9 business name does not match the legal name on the application. So those two need to match. Number three, similar issue, the address on the W-9 does not match with the address on the application. Number four, the quarterly financials need to, the quarter financials for all the quarters need to be uploaded. So you only are allowed to upload one file. So you have to put all of those quarters on one file, the quarterly financials. Number five, if a business is an LLC, the W-9 does not indicate the business structure. So you have to indicate that it is either your business is a C Corp or it's an S Corp. And number six, the owner is always counted as an employee in application. So please note that. I think the application requires at least one employee, but so that one employee will always be the owner. And then on top of that, you add the existing employees. Kirsty, do you have anything else to add to this?
No, that's just highlighting that this is important for you to fill out all the sections and sign it and date it. And however, if it's incomplete, one of the reviewers will be following up with you. And I was answering a comment on the chat. So I don't know why nobody has called back, but we have different numbers. So it could be that the message went to, I don't know, I'm just assuming. But if you are trying to reach anyone regarding the Chirp application, you can send us an email at chirp@pidcfila.com. And as soon as we see the message, we will be happy to follow up. Thank you.
Thanks, Kirsty. Okay.
So it looks like we have a question, Arthur and Tracy, to define what is the W-9?
Okay. We can switch over to the application. Let me stop this, because that's a very important question. Let me share my. So this is the website, our pidcfila.com/chirp. I believe there is a link all the way at the bottom for W-9 PDF download. So that's where you can link that's where it's linked, the latest version. So be sure to download that. And then I'll just show it to, if I can show here.
And the W-9 really is a confirmation of who you are. Excuse me. So it shows your name, your employee ID number for the company. It's a general form that really is, there it is. It's an identification form.
Right. So as Marla said, this is where you put your name. This is your personal name. Next is your business name. Next is the type of business classification, your entity. So it's a sole proprietor, C Corp, S Corp, partnership, trust or estate. It's usually one of the first four we've seen. Like we said, if it's an LLC, you can check it off here, but you still need to say what the tax classification is. So C Corp, S Corp, or partnership. And then you put the address of your business, city, state, zip code, and if you are a if you are a sole proprietor, you put your social security number. All others, you should have an EIN number. You put that there. Just let me know, Kirsty, if I missed any important fields.
Yes, the signature, scroll a little bit down.
Mm-hmm.
So part 2 is your signature. You have to sign there and date it. If it's not signed and dated, one of the reviewers will be following up. And this is connected to the IRS. So it's a requirement for anytime you receive a grant, you need to fill out this form. So it would be good for you to have it handy as more grants are coming in so you can reuse it. I believe it is valid for 2 or 3 years.
Do you know if you put anything up here, Kirsty, and number 4?
Nope. And these can have a virtual signature. So it could either be a physical signature. I think somebody is asking that on the.
Yeah, so I think Adobe will allow you to digitally sign it. So you just see like a timestamp, I think, next to your name. You can also print it out, sign it, and then scan that. Even some phones have some can scan a document using an app. You can use that too. Okay, I'm just sign it and then also date it with today's date. Okay. Let me switch back to PowerPoint. Okay.
We have a question in the Q&A that asks, are there any exceptions to the NAICS codes? The person is asking, their business operates out of a casino. They're the massage company that works on the gamblers as they play, and they've lost 100% of their business due to COVID. So let's talk about those NAICS codes.
Yeah, so I think if the tax returns has the incorrect NAICS code, so it's not starting with 721 or 722, you can still be eligible, fill out the application, and then you can prepare some supporting documents to show that you are in the hospitality or the food and services business. And a reviewer will reach out to you, and you can't upload the application, but the reviewer will reach out to you and request for those documents. Is that accurate, Kirsty?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm looking at the frequently asked questions because I know we have a list of the different industries. So if you are not sure about the industry you're in, I would say Google NAICS code for X, Y, and Z business, and you can have an idea. But for example, just to give you an example of eligible businesses, so hotels, motels, bed and breakfast, caterers, food trucks, drinking places, cafeterias and buffets. So there's an array of businesses in those 2 NAICS codes. So if you are not sure, you can Google what is my NAICS code based on your industry, and then go to the NAICS code page to confirm that your business is eligible. But if you have any questions about that, also just send us an email to the Chirp inbox, and that way we can just confirm the eligibility. I hope that answers the question. If not, just feel free to put on the chat.
Is it posted again on the chat, the Chirp email address? Okay. Yep. So it's chirp@pidcphil.com. That was a good question.
We have a question in the chat from Lamont asking, can he still apply with just his 2019 and 28 taxes, his returns, since he doesn't have his 2020 yet?
Yeah. So I think for 2020, you just need to upload your financial statements, correct?
Correct. We're not asking for 2020 taxes, only 2019 and profit and loss for 19 and profit and loss for 2020. So even if you haven't filed your 2020 taxes, you're okay.
Right, and the hardest part is probably just the putting together their quarterly statements for both 2019 and 2020. That is still required because you have to show that there's a 25% decrease in your gross receipts due to COVID-19.
Arthur and Kersey, do you have the slide that shows the quarterly form?
No, but actually we can go to PIDC's website. We have a template that we can show the participants so they can see what we're looking for on the quarterly statements.
Okay, let me switch over to that.
Yeah. So to make it easier to apply, and I've said these many times, this is one of the easiest applications I've seen. We really want you to apply. If you think that you're missing documents and you have any questions, send us an email, but don't assume that you are not eligible if you meet the criteria, losing 25% of your income, located in Philadelphia. We have different templates, the W-9 or an example of the profit and loss to make it easier for you to apply. So that's the highlight of today's session. Please apply. Don't assume you don't qualify. Yep, that's the template, the profit and loss.
So you can download that, and then that will open Excel. Okay, let me switch over to that.
And Joanne, we're trying to accommodate your concerns and try to make this less difficult. So if we can show, if you can talk about the quarters so people can see exactly and explain what you're going to look for in this application. So when you say that the company has to submit the 2019 and the 2020 tax returns, and then you want to see quarters, explain this sheet and what the applicant should be doing.
Yeah, I can go over that. And also I would like to make a distinction between the application. So what we're asking for self-certification in most of the different in the application, that's different from the documents that we are requesting. These documents are mandated by the legislature that approved this grant, so we don't have any control over this. And we've been trying to figure out what is the best way to make it easier for the applicants, because we do understand that having quarterly profit and loss may be challenging for businesses that don't have these type of records, or you don't have QuickBooks or a CPA. So we are mindful of that, and that's why we're hosting these webinars to make sure that you have all the resources you need. So with regards to the profit and loss, you can submit either annual, monthly numbers or quarterly. We need to see, and again, this is a requirement from the legislature. So this template shows the monthly numbers. You can put the numbers there monthly, how much money you made, what were your expenses, and this is for 2019 and 2020. And if you have them quarterly, you could do it, you could enter them there. So in Q1, that would be January through March, Q2, April through June, and so on and so forth until you have all your quarters. And yes, that we understand that that could be challenging if you are not keeping track of your annual expenses. This is not official yet, but something that we are considering is if you lost a majority of your income and you divide your 2019 taxes by the fourth quarter, that would give us an idea of how much money you've lost. So that's something that internally we're trying to discuss in case you cannot go back and look for the specific quarterly numbers for a year ago or 2 years ago.
We are interested in hearing from you what some of your, for those of you who are on the call, what have been some of your challenges? I mean, the state and all of the counties around the Commonwealth, just as Kersey said, are trying to make this application and this process as simple as possible because we want you to get these grant funds. So for those of you on the call, what have been some of the challenges? Because if you have had the challenge, it's likely that other businesses have had the challenge. And we don't want challenges to go unresolved in keeping you from applying. So if there, you can use the raise hand function and we can unmute you and you can ask your question live, or you can make your comment live. So you can put it in the chat or use the raise hand function and you can ask your question directly to Arthur and Kersey. Great, we've got questions. Okay, Siobhan, if you can unmute Heidi.
Heidi, you're unmuted.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hi, I'm the one who asked about the casino business. And so I just wanted to clarify that your recommendation would be to apply and then to prove that we are in the hospitality industry, being that we are in the casino right next to the cocktail waitresses and the, you know, dealers and things.
And do you know what your NACI code is?
Yes, it is 6. It's not the one that you're looking for. It is, my accountant just sent it to me, 621399 for massage therapy. But we are literally in the casino with the cocktail waitresses. You know, it's a different type of massage. It's not a spa. It's not.
Yeah, because for us, we're making a distinction. For example, if I own, I don't know, just to say an example, if I own a barbershop and I serve food, even though I'm selling food in my barbershop, the designation of the main designation of my business is a barbershop. So in your case, we would have to determine what is the main designation of your business to see if it belongs to the accommodation or if it belongs to the massage industry. So the primary service that you have has to match with the NAICS codes approved by the program, because unfortunately there's no way around that.
So there are no exceptions, you're saying?
There's no exceptions if your NAICS, if your industry is not within the approved NAICS code for accommodation and for food services.
Okay,
So
I had understood before when I asked the question to apply and then to see, but if our NAICS code isn't, it would be not smart to apply, we wouldn't get it?
We're not clear on the type, so send us an email to the Chirp email, and that way we can review additional information. It's gonna depend on what is the main service of your business, and if you happen to have a massage business and then you serve food, that's a little bit different. I'm just giving you an example.
Yeah, we're in the casino right along with people getting served food and getting served drinks and being in the casino. As somebody's gambling, we're massaging their shoulders.
I don't believe that's included in the accommodation service then.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was my question. All right, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Yes, what we meant before was that sometimes accountants or the business owner makes a mistake or miscodes the NAICS code. So if you believe that your industry is within those NAICS code, but your taxes say something different, that you can still apply and then submit paperwork to say, look, my business is a coffee shop. It's just that it's quoted as a massage business on my taxes. That's what we meant to clarify, because some people are just going by the NAICS code and saying, oh, I don't qualify because my NAICS code starts with 6.2, but they have a coffee shop. And we are encouraging people in the right industry to apply. So I guess we'll make sure we make a better explanation on our future webinars.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for asking.
Thanks, Kirsty, for answering that. Any other questions?
We do. Lamont has his hand raised. So Siobhan, if you can unmute Lamont.
Lamont, you're unmuted.
Good morning. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Good morning,
Thank
Lamont.
you so much. I really appreciate you guys for having such a business meeting, educating the small business owners about what we can do to try to recover. And that's the bottom line. I live in West Philadelphia. My business is based out of West Philadelphia down in Mantua, the low income community. And I started my business in 2016. But what my challenges is that when you have these little contracts with some of these employers, these catering companies and banquet halls and country clubs, 30-day net and accounts receivable, there's two different things. So to keep me up and running, I need some grant funding to keep me up and running, because if I don't get the right adequate grant money, I can't see myself continue thriving. And way before the COVID, this is what I've been struggling with: money. And some of the banks are not doing a great job at all with loaning these small businesses. If you don't have a house that's valued at $250,000, you can forget it. So I'm just glad to be a part of this workshop to see if I can reach out here and get some grant funding, because loans is going to drown me. So if there's grant funding out here for some of these small businesses, it can become a big blessing and a help to them. But I already have a loan, and I don't need no more loans. But if I can reach my hands out here and get some grant funding to keep my business up and running, I most definitely can put 24 people to work in Philadelphia and create job opportunity. We got to get these folks off these corners. I live in West Philadelphia. I've been living in Philadelphia for 58 years, and I want to see something change in Philadelphia. Folks hanging on the corners of 40th Market, 52nd Street, 60th Street. We also got to get these business carters involved too. And you guys loan money to these small businesses, and they have a business on a carter. Make sure that these people put some folks to work. That's what I'm hoping that as a result of this, you guys are helping these small businesses. These folks along these businesses along these business carters need to put these guys to work that's hanging on the corner, being a nuisance and loitering in front of your business. Put them to work. And I can guarantee you that crime rate will drop dramatically. So that's my recipe to trying to stop this crime, people breaking into people's stores, which is ridiculous. It makes no sense for people to do something stupid like that. But we got to strengthen our business carters. There's a lot of business carters in Philadelphia. We need to build up these business carters. And I'm hoping that we can do that in the next 4 years. If we can write a business plan to educate these small businesses along every business carter in Philadelphia, to hire people and put folks to work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lamont, and we certainly agree with everything that you said, 100%. One of the priorities for PIDC is to work with companies that are hiring, or to be able to support them to be able to grow and hire. Unfortunately, grants are not always available, but the next best thing to grants is very, very low interest loans. And that is something that is something that PIDC has been committed to doing for years, very, very low interest loans. So thank you so much for your comments. We agree, we're all on the same page with you.
Thank you for having me.
Sure, thank you for joining us. I wanted to make sure we were physically showing, someone asked where on the tax forms do they find the NACE codes? And I was hoping we could have a picture of a form that we could put up that actually shows where you can find the NACE code. Do we have a sample of the 1120 or the 1065?
Yeah, I'm looking for one in
Oh,
PowerPoint.
because if not, we can go to the IRS page, irs.gov, and look for an example there. But I believe the person who's asking has is not a corporation, I think she said. So if it's not a corporation and you're filing a Schedule C, the numbers are not listed there, but what is listed is the industry. For example, if you have a restaurant, it would say indoor restaurant or something like that, and that would help you. I can definitely put the website on the chat for the NAICS code where you can find it. So you would look on the, if you type restaurant or whatever your business is on the NAICS code search, it would give you the digits. And that way you can see if your business starts with 721 or 722.
I'll show you. I have a blank form here I can show for Schedule
Great.
C.
Yes, okay, good.
So this is the blank form here, and we're talking about this B field right here, the B enter code for instructions, but you put the NACE code in there. Is that right, Kirsty?
For the Schedule C is usually, we don't see the NAICS code there. We may not see it there, but where it says on section E, business name. Yes, it's either section C or E where you can see the industry that you're in. So even though you cannot see the specific code, the designation of your industry could be there. However, this is what we were referring before. Maybe your accountant made a mistake and listed the wrong information. So my best advice would be to type in the type of industry or the type of business you're in, type it on the NAICS code so that you can make sure that you have the right designation. We have many businesses that have the wrong designation. They have a food truck and they're listed as something else, or they own a restaurant and they're listed as something else. So I put the NAICS code link on the chat. Thank you.
So I want to make sure that we're answering all of the questions. So does that answer the question for where on the form you find the NAICS codes? We want to make sure that you don't leave here without your questions being answered. And if we can't find the answer for you immediately, then we make sure we have your email address and we will respond to you after today's webinar. Great. Okay. Are there any other questions? We want to make sure you are applying, submitting those applications. We want to make sure these grant funds get into your hands. I see we have posted now, we're seeing the web page. So when you go to the PIDC web page, this is what you will see. And you'll also see the opportunity. If you see under application assistance, in red, it says community partners. And that is a list of organizations that will help answer all of your questions. And of course, PIDC is one of those community partners, but you are not limited to PIDC. We want to make sure that you get your questions answered without hesitation, so you can get those applications in. We also want to make sure that you take your time completing applications. As was mentioned, these applications will not be reviewed until the end of the period, which is April 12th. And they are not awarded on a first come, first served basis. So we want you to make sure you get your application in, but we want to make sure that when you submit it, it is correct. So please, please take your time in going through the application. If you have a question or if there is something and you are not sure about how to complete it, please, please call us, because Arthur and Kirsty, correct me, but my understanding is you are not able to save your application once you start. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to do it in one session, in one sitting. You can't save it and go back to it later. But when you submit it, again, make sure everything's accurate, but once you submit it, you will receive a copy of your application. So you can reference that later, just in case you forget how you answered some questions.
So you want to make sure that you're going through the application, jotting down your responses before you actually start the application. Get as much information together as you can, because again, you want to make sure when you finally hit the submit button for the application that the information is accurate, but you cannot save it. So you can't start it and only finish half of it. You have to complete the full application once you start it in the same sitting.
Yes, and I would like to highlight that people are reviewing one by one all your applications. So if you submitted something by mistake, if you forgot to attach something, we will follow up and we'll let you know. We're not disqualifying anyone or declining anyone from after you applied. We are reviewing all these informations, making sure that all the documents are submitted. And if not, be on the lookout for an email from us asking what you're missing and if just any clarification. So this is a little bit, and again, I'm highlighting it because we want to make sure that everybody has a fair chance on these applications, and especially in this industry that has been severely impacted by COVID. And these funds are for you. So we have 17 million that we want to give you. So again, make sure that you reach out for any questions. That's it.
Lamont he's listed his email address. He wants the community partners. So Lamont, what we will do is put our email address in the chat, so you know exactly where to get that information.
And I'll put the link to the community partners. So it's a Google spreadsheets. Let me put all attendees.
We have one more question. Can you submit an application more than once? Joanne wants to know.
No, only one application. However, if you own multiple businesses and they have different EINs, you can submit an application per business. But for one, if it's only one business, only one application will suffice.
I just want to point out, we did talk about the FAQs. So there is it stands for frequently asked questions. So that is also an additional resource you can look at. So if you click on that, it pulls up, frequently asked questions and the answers to those questions. Several pages of information here that you can review if you have more questions about it. Obviously, you can always ask us at Chirp at PIDC.com email address, but there's also some information right here at your fingertips. It talks about a lot of it we covered over the PowerPoint, but here it talks, it shows you specific the NACI codes that are covered for this grant. And some other information such as if you have a business in other counties, where to apply for the Chirp grant in those counties. So there's lots of great information here that you should also review. Okay. Yeah, I don't think we don't have enough time to go through the application itself, but it is pretty self-explanatory. And just be aware that the application does adapt to the questions you answer. So this is like not the whole application. It will fully open once you answer all the eligibility criteria. I'll just briefly cover this. So again, the eligibility criteria is you have to be physically located for this application, physically located in Philadelphia, in operations as of February 15, 2020, a for-profit company, but not publicly traded. You have the correct NACI code. It falls into 721 or 722 subsectors. You can document a 25% reduction in gross receipts, tangible net worth of less than $50 million, fewer than 300 full-time employees. In compliance to local, state, and federal taxes, and has all the required federal, state, and local licenses and permits for your business. So once you fill that out, the rest of the application does appear. But let's go to, there is a question in the chat about, I think it's from Joanne. She was filling out the application out, but did not put submit and sign, came up saying that I'm not eligible. The rest of the business, so am I out? Well, yeah, so for example, for the criteria page, if you don't, let's say, for example, are not eligible, you don't have the federal, state, and local licenses. Let's say you do not have those licenses and you click submit, the application will tell you that you are, based upon your responses, you are ineligible. So just double check your answer. And the application does require that you check off those eligibility boxes first before you see the full application. But if you are not eligible, it will tell you based upon the answer you submit. Okay.
So Joanne, we are out of time for this session, but we want to make sure you get all of your questions answered. Because if you are eligible, we want to make sure that you are submitting and getting into the system. So it looks like we probably need to have a conversation offline with you after today's session so we can understand better what you did and we can respond appropriately. So let's see. Arthur has put our email address in the chat. You're going to email us at chirp@pidcphila.com, and we will answer any other questions and try to provide as much clarity as we can after today's session. Again, for those others, you can use that same email address and we will respond to you. You can also feel free to contact any of the community partners. So if you have relationships with any of those other organizations, feel free to reach out to them. We are all working collaboratively. So all of the community partners, including PIDC, we all work collaboratively. We exchange information to make sure that we are answering the questions that are the most common. And even for some of the challenging questions, we want to make sure we're answering those. Again, we're trying to make this process as simple as possible because we want every business in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to be able to take advantage of these emergency funds that are so desperately needed. So on behalf of PIDC, my colleagues Arthur Jimenez and Kirsty Azakar, we thank all of you for joining us today. We have scheduled another webinar on this same, on next Wednesday. We changed the time because we extended the application deadline. So originally the application deadline was April 5th. We have extended it to April 12th. And so we invite you to join us on next Wednesday at 12 noon for our English version of this same webinar. And then at 1 o'clock, immediately following it, we will have our all Spanish language version of this webinar. And so with that, if you happen to be bilingual and Spanish is your second language, or Spanish is your first language and English is your second language, at 11 o'clock in 3 minutes, we're going to jump off this webinar and we're going to start the one that is all Spanish speaking. So thank you all for joining us on today. Make sure you get to the PIDC website, PIDCphila.com, and see all of the resources that are available, including Chirp, including Small Business Administration funding sources, and everything else that is financial and non-financial resources. Thank you so much and look forward to seeing you soon. So long.
Thanks, everyone.